Alright, Sean here, and today we're going to check out the Samsung S20 FE 5G edition with an unboxing and first impression video. Let's check it out. Alright, first things first, impression of the box. So you get the same S20 style print on the box here, similarly as what we've seen in the release of the S20 early this year in January. So you get the Samsung S20 FE branding on the side of the box here, and do note this is the 5G version. Nothing on this side, nothing on this side, some serial numbers on this side, and yep, that's pretty much about it. Do note that you do get quite a bit of an embossing over here. It's actually imprinted under the wrap here, so it's actually a pretty neat touch. It does give the phone a tad a bit of a premium feel, considering that this is actually a very affordable phone. We'll talk about that later. Alright, so what's in the box? You get some little things here. Oh, okay, that's actually something there. So let's just run through the contents of the box there. So the top cover, we'll talk about this later. The phone right here, centerpiece, the phone itself, and it sits on a tray, a cardboard tray here. Right, just gonna put this here. Finishing up the stuff in the box. Okay, under here we get a charger, a fast charge, I guess. Okay, so that's auto sensing 100 to 240 volts, and it kicks out 9 volts at 1.6 amps at 15 watts, or 5 volts at 2 amps at 10 watts. So it's an auto sensing charger through a Type A USB port here, which I believe is connected to this cable here. So this is a USB-C to Type A connector, meant to be paired with this adapter here, this fast charge, which is kind of interesting because right, yeah, it says adaptive fast charging down here, you can see here. Well, it's kind of interesting, you know, for Samsung to include a charger in the box, because nowadays most phone manufacturers are actually looking to reduce you know, the garbage footprint, because not anybody actually use the chargers in the box. Let be even the included earbuds or stereo headsets as well. So nothing in here, it's just an empty spacer, I guess. Yeah, and yep, pretty much nothing in there. It's just a tray. That. Okay, so what do we have in here? So I guess this is an instruction sheet. Alright, so you get the SIM eject pin in over here at the back, and some quick start guides in 2 languages, English as well as Chinese or Mandarin. Yep, pretty much for the East Asian or the Southeast Asian market here. Alright, I think that's pretty much everything in the box, so let's just talk about the phone then. Alright, the phone. Alright, so the Samsung S20 FE, FE meaning Fan Edition, 5G variant. Alright, so what we have up here is a 6.5 inch display. It's actually higher than HD. Resolution is actually 1080 by 2400. So it's a little bit longer on the 1920, you know, the on this aspect ratio. So it's not really like 69. It's actually a bit more like 29-ish. And pixel density is about 400, above 400, 407 pixels per inch. This baby here is running Android 10. Not the latest out there, but one of the latest out there when it comes to matter of new phones, especially when you talk about Samsung. And of course, this is not a Google device, so you don't really get the Android 11 betas as what we see in the Pixel phones. Running through a couple more specs, this phone weighs about 190 grams. It's just slightly bigger than the S20. Of course, the S20 being the flagship range, you do get a lot more premium offerings, like a glass bag. This phone has a plastic bag, which actually is not too bad. You know, it doesn't really feel too shabby. It feels kind of nicely weighted in the hand. So let's just run through a bit of the exterior here then. As what we said, 6.5-inch edge to edge, so there's actually no curved edge here, which is a really nice thing. So I do like screens which are flat, you know, so you don't really go about you know, accidentally touching the edges. I mean, curved screen, they have some little gimmicky things, you know, like the battery charge on the sides and certain things like that, but you know, these are like things you can do without, you know. Frankly speaking, I do like the simplicity of a flat screen. You know, you hear that Samsung, so that's actually included in this version here. You get a 32 megapixel front facing camera, so that can do HD recording, as well as 4K at 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second. On the back, it's pretty much plain or here. I can believe this little square here is probably indicating where the induction coils are. So this phone does wireless charging, fast wireless charging, as well as reverse charging. Say that if you have like a pair of Bluetooth earbuds, you know, like say the Samsung buds, so you can actually put the case right here at the back, and it charges using the phone, the battery from the phone itself, rather than say plug into a wall charger. Alright, running through the cameras. So you see 4 nodules over here. That's actually where the camera sensors are, as well as the flash. So you only get 3 lenses in this version, unlike the 4 camera setups you know, so you see in the flagship models, as well as the 4th nodal being the flash over here. They are all encased into this glossy black plastic, which actually doesn't really raise the phone up by a considerable bit. You know, if you put it flat, it doesn't really rock that much, but it's still much better than say what you get in the Samsung S20 Ultra. You know, that thing is huge with the long space zoom lens in there. So running through what we have here, so the main shooter is a 12 megapixel 30mm lens. So that's your primary lens, you know, and that's the camera which you get the app selected, which the app selects when you boot up. And then next up is the ultra wide, which is a 30mm lens. So the main lens is a 26mm, and then the third lens here is actually a zoom lens. So the previous S20 has like a 1.1 times optical zoom. This one is actually packing an 8 megapixel 76mm telephoto lens, which if you put it in zoom numbers, is actually a 3x optical zoom right into this phone itself. So the S20 actually has 1.1 optical zoom, if I recall, and it does like a somewhat AI assisted digital zoom, which goes up to 3x. So this starts at 3x optical and actually can go up to like 30x on the AI assisted digital zoom, which I strongly against using because it really screws up your image quality. But it's kind of nice that you do get the flexibility of the 3 lenses, the ultra wide, the main shooter, as well as the zoom lens, the 3x zoom lens here. So that's all for the cameras. You get a LED flash here. Pretty much basic stuff here for a rather basic phone. Looking through the ports and connectivity, we get a volume rocker here on the right side of the phone, as well as power button. On the top, you get one microphone hole and a SIM slot. So this SIM slot, if I'm not wrong, is a dual purpose slot. So let's just pop that open with this safety pin here. Alright. Okay, pretty much like what you do with the iPhones and stuff like that. So let's look at the tray. So as you can see, is there is actually a plate over here which says SIM 1. Okay, and this is on one side, and it says SIM 2, as well as micro SD down here on the other side. So it's actually a dual-sided SIM slot, so I can guess you place them with the contacts facing outwards. Likewise from the other side, I think you place the nano SIM. So this takes in nano SIM, so if you have a micro SIM or a full-size SIM, you're quite out of luck unless you really cut it down to this size. Anyway, the industry standard is nano SIM now. The SIM goes in this way with a notch over here, while on the other end, the SIM actually goes horizontally with the notch over here, with the space for the SD card over here. So this is actually a dual SIM phone, so you can have the ability of 2 simultaneous standbys using 2 SIM cards, or you can just sacrifice one of the SIM card slots for a micro SD card. And I think this phone comes with 128 and 256 gigs of onboard internal storage paired with 8 gigs of RAM, and this allows an external expansion of up to 1 terabyte of external micro SD storage. So kudos to Samsung on that, and sticking to, of course, the renowned and widely used adopted micro SD format, and not some NM card which some Chinese manufacturer uses, which probably nobody will actually buy those kind of cards. So yeah, it's kind of good that Samsung actually includes this micro SD expansion. So it is actually really a lot better, especially when it comes to trying to restrict consumers to use only onboard storage and cloud storage. I think that's really keeping customers on the leash, and not allowing external storage. Phones back then always had external storage, so I can guess it's a bit more of a commercial decision to remove it. Let be space issues when we talk about a headphone jack, which is actually one gripe about this phone. So this phone actually doesn't come with a headphone jack, as you can see. There's actually none of them around here. So let me just run through all the ports again. You get nothing on this side, on the left side of the phone, and at the bottom you get the second microphone, a USB-C port for charging, as well as data sync, as well as a speaker over here. So I think you get stereo speakers. So I think one of the speakers actually included, usually have it, Samsung usually have that integrated into the bezel up here. So as you can see, there's actually no holes up here at all. So you must be wondering where the speaker is when you put your ears in. They're actually embedded under the screen. So it's actually really clean. While the downward firing speaker here, actually you can see the speaker review, actually there's a little more, it's actually not as discreet, and right. So yep, that's pretty much it. Very simple phone. This phone does include a fingerprint sensor, and it's actually right here under the screen, around this area here. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. Yeah, so I will actually touch on a little bit more on the phone itself in a separate review. So this is just like a first impressions of the phone itself. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it though. So packing the specs, this actually has flagship specs, despite it being a pretty affordable phone. So this phone actually retails at about 640 Sing dollars under a 2-year contract. So the phone itself costs about 1,000 Sing dollars, which is about 700 USD. In under the contract, it can bring it down as low as 400. So I got this phone when Samsung is running a promotion where they bundle 2 free gifts, an SD card as well as the Galaxy Buds. Claim retail value about 300 bucks, but actually if you do your research, actually it's only worth about say 200 bucks. So 640 for this minus say 200 for that, which actually brings it down to an effective retail price of around 440, which is actually a really good buy if you ask me. This phone comes with flagship level. It has the Snapdragon 865, which is the flagship processor found on Samsung range of phones. It's also paired with a generous 8 gigs of RAM, even with the 128 gig model. So the only difference between this and the next higher up level, which is the 256 gigs of internal storage, is actually just the storage. You get the same processor, you get the same amount of RAM. So, and then with the SD card storage, I say just go for the 128 and save 100 bucks. The 256, by the way, costs about $100 more, about 740, which is actually a little bit more higher than what you can find, or what you can say is comfortable for a entry level flagship. I would say, gone are the days where flagships cost comfortably within $600. Of course, with Apple releasing, or rather breaking the $1,000 mark on flagship phones, we can see Huawei as well as Samsung following suit. So this is a good throwback, I can say. Flagship specs at a not so flagship price, I guess. I mean, if you were to not count the price of flagships back then, 10 over years ago. So not too bad. It's a good impression. I will be using this as my daily driver to replace my old Pixel. So yeah, I think I will touch on the phone specifics in a separate review. So yeah, I think that's all for this the unboxing and first impressions. I hope you like the video. If you like it, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video. Sean out.